Okay. Also in week 10, we discussed sequential animation. So I'm going to make a new sequence, comp, sorry. Okay. So what we're going to do is in class we had them come up from the bottom to the top and go across to the side. I'm going to change it up. This time I'm going to have them go horizontally. So I'm going to get my shape, just draw it out real fast. Of course, the golden rule of thumb, always change your anchor point on holding down Control and Shift to snap it to the edge. So I've got this shape snapped to the edge. And now I'm going to use my anchor point move. And I'm going to hold down Control as well. And I want that to come out from the middle, the bottom middle. So I'll hold down Control and Shift. Now it's snapped into place. Okay. I've got my basic shape. Now I'm going to transform its scale. I'm going to turn off proportional. I've got my first keyframe. Let's say this goes at about 1 second to go across the screen. And I'll make another keyframe. So what I'm going to do is, since I want this to go horizontally, I'll do 0 on the x-axis, 100% on the y-axis. Go to my next keyframe, and it's 100 on each. So what's going to happen is, down it goes. You know what? Actually, let's do something different. Let's make this one go a little further. Then we'll go back a little bit. We'll undershoot it. And then we'll go right there. So now it's a little bit of an overshoot. Oh, this one needs to go back further. That should be 0. So let's see if this goes. We're not really seeing that as much. So let's move it back. So if it's, let's move this back some more. So there's a little bit more recoil. And then we'll have that one. Then we'll do a little bit more frames to about there. And then there. Move that a little bit closer. All right, so that's a goofy motion, but it's what we're going to stick with. I'm going to right-click, ease them all, like such. All right, that's what we want. So now I'm going to duplicate this. Let's see. In class we did 10. We did 10. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just do 6. So I'm going to do for the path size. I'll turn this off. The height, I'm going to do 1080 divided by 6. Let me snap that down to the corner. So now when I duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I take the last one, I move it down to the bottom. I hold down Control and Shift to snap to the edge. I'm going to select all my layers. And on my align, remember if you don't have it, it's Window Align. I'm going to distribute them off of the vertical centers. Now, if you're going vertically with your animation, be off of the horizontal centers. So now we've got our animation. Okay. So I want this to be, let's say I want this to be 3 frames off. 0.03. 3 frames. So I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to hold down Option and hit the second bracket key to the P. There's the P bracket and then another bracket. It's right by the slash. So now I've changed their out points. Okay. Now I'm going to make sure all my layers are in the correct order. So that's not the top. Let's see. That's the bottommost. That's the top. Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So now they're going in order from top to bottom. So I'm going to select them. So I selected the top first, then the bottom second. Right-clicked, Keyframe Assistant, Sequence Layers. I don't want any overlap. And there you have it. It's going from the top to the bottom for my sequence. So now I'm going to go to the end of my composition. All my layers selected, I'm going to hit Option and then the second bracket to the P. So it's P, bracket, bracket. So now my out point has changed. And I now have my sequential animation. So that's the first part of it. We did that. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to save this. I'm going to select all of them, right-click, pre-compose. I'll call this sequence green. I'm going to duplicate it once. I'm going to offset it, let's say about 4 frames. Now, make sure, see how I've got this white arrow and I'm sliding it? That's all well and good. I slid the entire layer. See how I have the double-ended black arrow? You don't want that. That's going to change your endpoint. We don't want that. Just the white arrow. And it's going to move the entire thing and keep the keyframes intact. So I'm going to change this color. One moment. Save while we wait. Save frequently. I'll type in fill. Double click. Add fill to that top layer. And let's just say we went from green to a little bit of a bluish. So now I've got that going on. And I can actually move it just a little bit to have it a little bit closer behind to it. Like that. Let's see what that's going to look like. That's a little bit better in my opinion. Excuse me. So I'm going to duplicate this top layer one more time. I'm going to put some text between it. And I'll call this I just typed in Motion Graphics Art228, and we'll shrink this down like such. Okay. And I'll adjust my leading. Now, make that a lowercase o. Okay. We're going to use this top duplicated blue one as an alpha mask. Remember, I mean an alpha matte. The mask always goes on top of your face, so I have that on top of what I want to mask, which is the text layer. Hit my toggle switches and modes button down here. Alpha matte. And now it's revealing the type. Now, if I duplicate this, I'm going to go one more, make it a little bit fancy. I'm going to change the color from blue to, let's say, yellow. Now I'm going to duplicate this top sequence, hit duplicate. I'm going to offset this a few frames so it's behind the other one. And I've got a alpha matte already set up. Now it's revealing the yellow and the blue separately because they have different alpha mattes. So I just duplicated the same sequence to make my alpha matte, change the color, and offset it in the timeline. And you can add some interest very easily to this animation, which took very little time to set up. It's all through making your sequence, duplicating it, changing it with the fill color, using it as a mask, an alpha matte, then duplicating it again to get 2 different colors of type to animate it in off of the same effect, just by sliding down the layers in the timeline.